Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I have been having computer issues this morning, or today, and I'm finally just said, okay, I've got my video put together, let's do it. It's Friday, and I'll call this Break the Internet Friday, because if you completely understand the clip that I'm going to show you at the end of this video, you might understand how big this picture really is. The market is up a little bit. XRP had surged this morning up to like 251-ish. Still at 50. It's still at 5% in the last 24 hours. I meant to play this clip the other day. This is from the Black Swan Capitalist guys. This is an interesting clip.
As an example, Ripple with RippleNet are set out to achieve, right? So lower cost.
That's James Wallace from Ripple.
Faster, more transparency and greater access. And I think one of the big questions here is, what happens with the correspondent banking model? I think the role that the banking system plays is crucial in the global economy, and I think that will continue. But the sort of traditional model of, pre-funding accounts, for liquidity purposes, nostro-vostro accounts. It's proven that part of the correspondent banking model is not needed.
All right. Then we had this. This is a good clip from the Modern Investor. Riz has been finding a bunch of these clips. This guy, Modern Investor, gets it. If I can make it play. Let's hit the old refresh button.
Very big news. I'm really excited to see not even the rest of the year, like the next couple of months hold. If we hear that XRP is tax-free within the United States and it gets like 3 ETFs, yeah. I heard someone say, this was a couple of weeks ago, somebody was like, they think that XRP is going to $25 this year. And I was like, I could see like 13, 14 if we get all of this stuff happening. It's going above 20. It can't go any other way. Very big news.
20.
I'm
above 20. I like the sound of that. Matt Hogan gets it from Bitwise. I think these guys might be coming to XRP Las Vegas. I don't think that's confirmed, but I think they might. There's absolutely a massive disconnect between retail and professional sentiment in crypto right now. Retail sentiment is the worst it's been in years, while professional investors are extraordinarily bullish. It's like living in two completely separate worlds. That's because they're all prepping to come into these ETFs and the institutions to come in, and Wall Street's probably keeping this market tamped down until they're ready, if I had to bet. Now, gold hit a new all-time high of 2,880. That tells you something right there. All the Bitcoiners would have you believe that gold's, that's an old relic. That's not going anywhere. Then there's this from Cowboy X, Elon Musk. Remember when Elon Musk had tweeted this out? Propaganda 60 Minutes allows Kamala Harris to lie while the cameras are rolling. When they're off, they confront her, asking her for the truth. And then Cowboy, who is the official cowboy of the Digital Asset Investor channel, says, remember when 60 Minutes did the hit piece on Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple while they used JP Morgan payments for cross-border transactions? Same JP Morgan that owns Ethereum infrastructure. Convenient, huh? And here it is. Paramount transacts RTPs to vendor globally. JP Morgan payments. There you go. Looks like we're not the only ones that are trying to hold Gary Gensler and the SEC accountable. Bloomberg, after years of prodding, these Freedom of Information Act requests reveal a range of interesting SEC documents, from Gary Gensler's emails to Tesla attorney letter to reports of inspector generals. Well, you need to remember Gary Gensler is a slippery snake, so I'll bet you he didn't use his SEC email for hardly anything. I'm sure he probably took a page out of Hillary Clinton's book and got his own private server and conducted all his business with Gmail or something. They need to put this guy on trial so they can go get the Gmails. You want to find out who this guy really is. Stuart Alderati was not happy with Bill Hinman being at that Ondo Finance conference. It's 2025 and Bill Hinman, the Rommel of the war on crypto, still spews the same nonsense meant to destroy our industry. The only platform he deserves is under oath answering for the damage he caused. Who's his puppet master? That's the question. Great question. Elon Musk says, all these people are getting all mad because Elon Musk, he's getting involved in the payments at the Treasury and all this. And then this comes out. Democrats in Congress didn't seem to mind that China had remote access to every workstation in the Treasury as recently as December. Now, a month later, they're freaking out that Trump's appointees are accessing the very same computers demanding violence in the streets. This right here, folks, I'm telling you, I've been saying it for years. These people have been blackmailed. There's no telling how many of these Congress people have been blackmailed by China to let things like this happen. There's a reason they're freaking out now that they're in there looking under the cover. There's a reason they tried everything they could to get rid of Trump. Bank XRP, CFTC to host CEO forum on stablecoins and collateral with key industry players including Ripple, Coinbase. And then Eleanor Terrett has a scoop. XRP depository receipts will soon be available for purchase by accredited investors through Receipts Depot, DWP Advisors, Fox Businesses Learn. Much like traditional ADRs, American depository receipts that represent shares of foreign companies, the XRP DR represents ownership of the underlying XRP without investors having to buy the asset directly via a crypto exchange. The benefits are similar to those an ETF where investors can gain exposure to an asset without having to buy it directly through a foreign exchange or a crypto exchange. In short, it's another way of bridging the gap between TradeFi and DeFi. The XRP DRs will be held by Anchorage, a federally chartered bank overseen by US OCC. I believe David Sachs, the crypto czar, is an investor in Anchorage, by the way. Now, you need to watch this again. I tweeted this out earlier this week. It's been watched almost 500,000 times for a reason. I said, was the plan all along to run Bitcoin on the XRP ledger to fulfill the four Satoshi's original vision? If that's where this goes, they may need to build more mental hospitals just to house the Bitcoin maxis. This is Jack Dorsey, who created Twitter for Greg Kidd. Those are Greg Kidd's words. He created it for me, is what he said. I played that video this week as well. This is Jack Dorsey, who created Twitter, who's best buddies with Greg Kidd, who's one of the first 10 guys at Ripple. And I'm going to show you something else that's going to blow your mind here in a second. If I can get it to play.
What would stop it from being used from payments at this point? Or what would relegate it to just being digital gold, in your opinion?
Well, no one uses it as payments. That's it. And if it's not accessible in that sense, like if people don't understand how to use it as payments, if it's not easy, if merchants aren't accepting it, all these things will compound into people just not seeing it as relevant money, and instead of just being this digital gold rock.
Do you think that it's a lack of development? Because we have things like Lightning and Fedi and other kind of layer 2, more payments focused protocols that live on top of the Bitcoin base layer. But is it more of it needs to be used question to you, or do you still think that there's far more to build?
There's always more to build. I just think it's not accessible to people. Number one issue is people don't have Bitcoin and they have no reason to buy it other than the investment value. Number two is when they have Bitcoin, where can they actually use it if they can use it? So there's a lot of chicken and egg problems, and I think many of them are being worked on. But ultimately it has to come down to the fact that like people value this thing for a reason and they want to use it. So I do think, obviously, I think the investment vehicle is a good first step. We built a Cash App, we built a Bitcoin exchange in Cash App for that very purpose, because it's the fastest and easiest way to get people access to Bitcoin. But the next step is the hard one, which is like, how do they utilize it instead of just like watching it go up and down? How do they actually use it to exchange value? And how does that benefit like a merchant? How does it benefit an individual? So that's what we're focused on.
Okay, now, I said it's Friday, let's break the internet. Greg Kidd, one of the first 10 people at Ripple, dispatched Jack Dorsey to create Twitter. Remember, this is 2006, okay? In 2006 is when he dispatched him to go create Twitter. And there was one engineer that worked, well, I'm gonna let you listen to the clip and then I'll explain it. Greg Kidd here is describing, he had a bike dispatcher company that Jack Dorsey worked at, and this one other engineer. When they were done with that, he dispatched both of these guys, and it's going to blow your mind where he dispatched the other guy to. Remember, Twitter was formed in 2006.
I met some of these tattooed, piercing, wearing bicycle messengers in a market where they had radios and text messaging devices, and they were not being told what to do. Jobs were being called out, and they were bidding for the jobs. There was a marketplace for messenger deliveries. There was no top-down authority determining who would do what work. And that was interesting, because that particular firm, I looked elsewhere in the world, and most everywhere else in the world, people were told what to do. There was an authority explaining who should do what work when. And that was interesting to me. I built some software around that, and that spread throughout the world. And we learned a lot about how to message, how to send messages to those couriers, and also how to do clearing and settlement, because the bidding meant that money had to move from the people paying for the deliveries through the companies to the messengers. And that sounds like just a small industry, and it was, although it was a fairly large IPO in the United States, and it did become the largest dispatch company in the world. And but it became stuffy, and I left, and I took two coders with me, one named Eric, one named Jack. Eric is the person who writes the protocol for Ripple. Eric, and the other chap, Jack, is Jack Dorsey. And Jack Dorsey took away an observation from the messenger industry, which is, instead of just calling out work for bicycle messengers, what if you could just send out messengers for anybody that wanted to follow them, not just for bicycle messenger deliveries? And so, do we know what company that became? So that's what became Twitter.
My theory is that Greg Kidd was the puppet master behind Ripple. My theory, if you go back and you look, Chris Larson wrapped up Prosper in about 2011, okay? Greg Kidd, if he dispatched Jack Dorsey in 2006 and this guy to go work on the Ripple protocol, which, let me remind you here from Smoke, Ripple, it says right here, it's older than Bitcoin itself. Ripple emerged in 2004 as a mutual credit network. Time Bank, Between 2012 and 2013, it morphed into distributed ledger. So I believe that Chris Larson must have been recruited. This is my theory, that he was recruited by Greg Kidd to work on this. If you look here, because I played a video earlier this week that Jack Dorsey, he said that him and one other engineer worked to build Twitter initially. So I went and typed it in. This guy, Eric Ing, or Inge, whatever you say that, is the one that helped him. So I'm assuming Eric is the same Eric that went and helped him create Twitter and work on the Ripple protocol. Makes me believe they were working together for this to eventually be on the X app. I believe Dorsey, this is just my theory, I believe Dorsey sold this thing to Elon Musk. He retained 3% ownership in X. My gut screams at me that XRP and XLM are going to be working behind the scenes on that to be the everything app at X. I believe that this may have been the long-term plan all along, because we know Greg Kidd said what we need is an everything app. That's my theory. Now, I've got another clip that I'm not going to put on X, but I'm going to play it for the group at daixrp.com. We're going to go in there and I'm going to show you the other thing from this same thing where Greg Kidd, what else he said about Ripple. And it's very interesting too. This will get you. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.